It's a good thing. To have somebody that has that gift is kind of remarkable. So that's awesome.
If you want something to happen, you make it happen.
That's one thing that with the pandemic that I've been amazed at how many gifts people, I told Godly Place stories for like 2 years online. I am not somebody that likes to be online in any way. My husband's in front, I'm in the back. So, or playing with the kids. So, well, before we begin, I'm going to go ahead and, if you're okay with that, I'm going to light a candle to remind us that Christ is with us always in all ways. And we're gathering together today in a sacred circle and share of Christ's love. Oh, well, I'll be right back. I'm going to get something that'll actually... Oh, yep. I have all these lovely matches over there, and of course, that one doesn't work. Thank you so much.
One of those rare occasions when the artificial light works better than matches.
It is, yeah. Sadly. Okay. So I'm going to recommend that anybody that wants to see, well, first of all, I did make some papers for you so that you can follow along. So you're not really following along, it's just giving you kind of an outline. But it also has a lovely prayer on it. So if you don't mind, just, can you pass? Oh, well, you're kind of eating. I'll give you one and then I'll. Sure. I'm just going to hand you those. Can you pass some along? And I'm also going to recommend, since we are a smaller crew, I would recommend everybody that wants to see be in the front row. I know it's inconvenient, but this is a visual presentation. So if you don't want to, it's fine. I'm just offering the opportunity because I'm going to be putting this out on this table and you might not be able to see. So, okay. All right. So, I love a quote from Socrates, and as a matter of fact, I love it so much that it's actually on a banner over there that says, "Wonder is the beginning of wisdom." And another one of my favorite quotes is from Mr. Rogers. "Play is the work of children." But I got to add to that because I believe that we are all God's children at any age. So if you're 95, you're still a child. And I believe we have that within ourselves. And I believe it was funny because I came here last week and got to stay for the wisdom school. I just thought it was perfect that he talked about the more you move, the longer you're going to live, and that proves that that's how long you're going to live. And I think it's true with kind of having a sense of wonder and a sense of play as well. I think that we still have it in there. I just think that maybe we've forgotten, but I don't think God has forgotten. So I just want us to kind of keep that in mind. So today I'm going to focus on sacred play, and that's because for the last 20 years, I have been a sacred play animator for all ages. It's not a title I created. I was going to a spiritual director, and we were discussing what I do because nobody ever understands what I've done for the last 20 years for a living. And they said, well, you are truly a sacred play animator. And so I was like, okay, I've never heard that title before. I've been director of children and youth ministries. I've been the intergenerational formation director. But something about sacred play just really stuck with me, and I really appreciated that term. But one thing that's been apparent, when I first was called to this, I was called to specifically work with the children and the youth. And I quickly learned that play and sacred stories are for all people and all ages, and that the youth learn from the adults learn from the youth, and it's a magical thing. You guys probably can imagine, I'm kind of living it right now. I'm the grandma to two really cute 3- and 5-year-old kids that we tell stories to each other every day. But they tell me more and teach me more than I ever could give to them. And so they've reminded me and really kind of brought that home, that that kind of sense of play and wonder is really important. So I brought some books to show you, and they're over there. I often use Godly Play, and I understand you have the Godly Play materials here. This might look a little different than the materials you have because it's a little smaller. This box is actually designed to use at home or in a hospital or nursing home setting. So it's a little smaller and able to fit in a more, because Godly Play materials are usually much larger, easier to manipulate, but these are specifically designed for a different way. There's even a little bit smaller set that you can get that will fit right on the tray in a hospital, which I just think is fabulous because those are super important. I was fortunate actually to use this very material. A few years ago, we were at a church and we had a parishioner that moved into a memory care unit and was struggling. And she and I kind of became connected, and I was able to take these materials into the nursing home. And you know how when you maybe don't remember, and yet there are certain things that are still in your heart? That's what came out. It was really a wonderful experience. It truly filled me with awe. So I'm going to share today, and we're kind of going to do things in the style of Godly Play. But I need to tell you about a little bit about Messy Church because it's really a place in my heart too, you can see.
But don't you dare, we cleaned yesterday.
And that is it. I'm going to tell you, a friend of mine found out about the Messy Church that I hosted, and she talked her church into doing it. She put a big sign up at the church, and the elder people at the congregation said, "We are not advertising that we're messy." True story. But aren't our lives messy whether we like them to be or not? We can clean. I know I clean one day and the dust is right back the next. So I was really lucky. When my husband was in seminary, he was able to go take a course, and believe it or not, they allowed me to go to take the course too, in England. And the course was really interesting, but it's not the most interesting thing that happened in England. I started hearing this word, messy church, messy church. And so I started talking to the people that kept saying that stuff and discovered that a woman named Lucy Moore, in England, they were really struggling with having people attend church. And she was in a town, and she and this other gentleman said, okay, what's a really thing that's still really popular? And believe it or not, I can't remember what it's called, but they call it like a gang thing where they get together on Saturdays, gang club, and that sounds really bad here, but it's not there. And so they were like, okay, yeah, but we want everyone to be able to be part of it. And so they were like, okay. And so we're really into Godly Play, and we're really into how to do that. And so in the very first books of Messy Church, you'll even see Godly Play stories or something that's like Godly Play inserted into their Messy Church. And so I took all that information in, bought all the books, bought all the stuff, and was like, okay, I'm in a congregation that's very proper, 200 kids, so already had everything going, not really a thing. And we did Godly Play, and we did our things, but they were that same church that would not want a Messy Church sign in their yard. But then my husband got his first parish. And we went to a parish very much like this, filled with the Holy Spirit, but maybe a little age challenged. Not a lot of diversity in the age. The people went to this community, this area, to retire. There was a beautiful golf course in the area. Everybody went to the golf course, and they came to me and said, okay, we got no kids, but we would really like to see what you could do. And I said, I have this stuff, and it's kind of weird, but it's called Messy Church, and if you guys are willing to just kind of play with me, we'll see where it goes. So we formed a group, and we said, okay, let's come up with like 10 activities to do and a thing. And then I discovered that Messy Church had all these things. They even told you what meals to serve. I mean, that's how easy it was. So I said, okay. And so then we were like, well, how are we going to get people to come? And we literally went to the food pantry in town where people were coming, and we just handed out cards and said, guess what, just so you know, we got a free meal. It's nothing fancy, but you're gonna get a free meal, and yes, you're gonna get a little religion and a little play too. We don't care if you're 95, we don't care if you're 5, just come. And we also had a local, state park, and so I don't know if it was legal or not, but I might have put a flyer or two on every car that I could come by. Because you're there, and you might want to go to church, and you might want a free meal, and you know. And so I warned the people that we were in committee with. I said, the first time we do this, it's probably going to be just us. And that's okay, because we're going to have some fun, so who cares? And we're going to have a meal together. And so we did this thing. And it wasn't just us, but we had those people that sort of said they were members of the church but never came and had little kids. Like when their parents came to town, they would show up with the little kids. Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. They came, and they went, what? Wait, what is this thing? And they came the next time, and then they invited their friends. And then the people from the food pantry came. And we formed a community. We met once a month in the afternoons on a Sunday. People could meet anytime. And we averaged about 40 people in attendance. And for a tiny little community in northern Michigan, that was darn good. I got to the point where I could put together a little box and say, here are your materials. And I had this one woman, her name was Mary. And she did not want to come to a meeting with me. She didn't want anything. She wanted me to give her instructions and a box. And she would take over a table, and that was her ministry once a month. And it was a blessing. And you could just watch her beam when everybody would gather. And one time we put out Legos to make nativity scenes. And it wasn't really working so well. So a grandpa from our congregation was like, I know how to work with Legos, and walked over and took over the activity. And the next thing I knew, there were competitions of making nativity sets. And so that is why Messy Church is near and dear to my heart. But the two, for me, kind of go intermingled and can be for all ages or any ages. And recently, they've started doing a thing called Vintage Messy Church, where they actually, a congregation goes into a nursing home and brings a little like what I did, and they have their story and their meal together, and it's just a way, it's a ministry, and it's a beautiful way to share our sacred stories with each other. So this morning I'm going to give you a small taste with the godly play, and then we're going to hear a sacred story together, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of time. This is the part that adults really struggle with. I can tell you at Messy Church, the first thing that happened was I learned that coffee and a table to go sit and have coffee at for the adults could not be available. Because none of us are going to go over there. But once we do, we might find something that catches our eye. That's why there's books, there's coloring, there's, things to make crafts if you want to make a craft. So I even have a lacing sheep. I don't know if you've ever done lacing cards, but it's actually with wool. So just some tactile things to help you reflect on what we're going to see this morning. And then if you have lots of questions, and that's great, we'll come back together. So I know you guys use the chime in the morning, and so I will give us a chime to let us know it's time to gather back together for any questions. So, is there any other thing that I can do before I go ahead to help us get ready for telling our story? We're all set?
I just wanted to say,
Yeah.
one of the new programs that we're starting
Uh-huh.
here is a once-a-month simple supper and program on Wednesday evenings.
Oh, okay.
And so, and we have a few of them planned out, but this is intriguing to hear about this. So, yeah, glad you're here.
We used a Godly Place story during our Lenten soup suppers. Just once, just one of the Lenten soup suppers. And there's one, if you have this material, it's a beautiful material. It's the Good Shepherd and Holy Communion. I'm not kidding. Adults wept. So everybody thinks these materials need to be locked away because they're not for adults. Just get them out and play with them a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to take my glasses off because it's dark in here. And the theory is I don't need them for this part. So, all right. So at the very beginning of me telling this story, I'm going to tell the story, and at the very beginning, I am going to ask you to wonder. And when I ask you to wonder, that is your time that you literally say stuff. And it makes it easier on me if you actually do say stuff. But when I say we're ready for the story, I will talk. And then afterwards, I will again give you an opportunity to wonder with some questions that I will pose to you. And I hope that you will feel comfortable in sharing whatever is on your heart at that point. So, okay. All right. So you've probably been looking at this very gold box here. And it represents a parable. Gold is very precious, and parables are also very precious. So it makes sense that our story would be in a gold box. It kind of also looks like a present. And parables are like a present. They were given to us long ago. Parables were given to us long before you were born, long before your parents were born, long before even your grandparents were born. And it has a lid. And sometimes, I don't know about for you, but for me, lids are sometimes hard to open. And parables can be like that too. But you keep coming back and trying to open it. And just maybe one day, it will open up to you. So, I'm going to take a look inside. I wonder what that is. It's very big and very green. Could it be the top of a tree? What's that? A tent. Oh, yeah. Something to go under your Christmas tree, absolutely. It's green on both sides.
Patch of grass.
A patch of grass. All right. Wonder what this could be.
It's a pond.
A pond. Or a cloud?
Or a mask over your eye.
Oh, a mask. Oh, yeah.
It's for the golf course.
For the golf course, okay. Looks like we might be getting a golf course together here, yeah, yeah. Let's see. Something we could look through, maybe? A mirror? I wonder what these could be. They're kind of dark blue. Could be brown.
It's a little heart-shaped.
Yeah, that one might be a little heart-shaped. Each of them might be a little bit different. Part of a face, oh. Sometimes when we place them down, people think they kind of look like a face. But it's kind of dark. There's not really any light that shines through that. Turtles. I like that. On their way to the pond. I like that. All right, let's see what else we have.
Snake.
Oh, a snake. A stick? I thought a Band-Aid. What do you? Fence? Mm-hmm.
Road.
A road. Yep. Now we have a railroad. I like it. Yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be a box.
Ah. Ah, I can make a square. But look how many more there are. Ah. They're multiplying, that's right.
A log cabin.
A log cabin.
An enclosure.
An enclosure. I think it's getting stronger as we put more of them. Like a horse stall. Oh, yeah. A corral of some kind, yeah, for sure.
You forgot the door.
I did. So there's an inside and an outside. So I think you're right. I think we need to make a door. We'll just kind of do that to the best we can. There we go. Now they can go out and in. Oh, I know what it is. Ah, so it must be a sheepfold, a place to keep our sheep safe. I wonder how many sheep there are. Maybe that many? Oh, wait.
Well, if there's 100, you need a bigger.
We're going to need a bigger sheepfold. Well, today we don't quite have 100.
Another sheep.
That's another sheep, yeah. Even one more. So this is all we have today, but do you think there might be more?
If they work at it. Need to make a bigger pen.
We need to make a bigger pen.
Or they're outside the pen.
Or they're outside the pen. Oh, could be, yeah. All right, well, I think we have everything we need to tell our story. So, if you're all ready, we'll begin. Once there was someone who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things that people began to follow him. And when they were following him, one day they just had to ask, "Who are you?" And his answer this one day was, "I am the Good Shepherd." I know each of my sheep by name. And when I take them from the sheepfold, they follow me because they know the sound of my voice. I show them the way to the good grass. I lead them beside the cool, clear, still water. And when there are dangerous places, I show them the way through. And as they go in the sheepfold, I count them. And if one of them is lost, I go and I search for them everywhere. In the good green grass, near the cool, clear, still water, and even in the dangerous places. And when I find them, I place them on my back and carry them safely back to the sheepfold, even if they're heavy. And when everyone is safely home, I just can't help myself. I have to celebrate. So I invite all of my friends, and we have a great feast. This is the ordinary shepherd. The ordinary shepherd doesn't show them the way. So when the sheep leave the sheepfold, they wander. They don't know the right way to go. when the wolf comes, the ordinary shepherd runs away. Sorry, I'm a very technically challenged person. But the good shepherd places himself between the wolf and the sheep so they can go back to the safety of the sheepfold. He would even lay down his life for the sheep. I'm going to move this out of the way so that you can see a little better. Now, I wonder if these sheep have names. We could ask the shepherd. That's true. Mm-hmm.
I bet since he's such a good shepherd that each of those sheep have names.
Each of his sheep have a name.
Yeah, you said he didn't. Said they do.
He knows each of them by name.
Depends on how many sheep there are.
True. I wonder what this place might be.
You mean it's a metaphor for the church and the members?
I wonder.
Well, it's just a safe place.
A safe place.
There are lots of kinds of safe places.
Yeah.
And sometimes safe places keep others out.
Ah. So do we need our door back to let them in?
I feel better about that.
Well, and the sheep stay in the enclosure all the time. They don't have enough to eat.
Ah, so the door is an important piece. Sometimes when this story is told, they'd use the Good Shepherd and put the Good Shepherd just like that as a door.
Does the shepherd ever try to tame the wolf?
I wonder. I wonder if you've ever been a place like this.
Recess at school.
Ah, recess at school.
There was not sleep.
I wonder if you've ever felt the good grass. I wonder if you've ever been touched by that cool, clear, still water.
Any kind of water.
Any kind of water. I wonder if you've ever been in places of danger. or been lost. Yeah. I wonder how you made your way through.
I didn't hear that.
I wonder how you made your way through.
Oh,
I wonder if someone helped you.
yeah, I nearly had an accident yesterday.
Hmm.
We were in Chicago, and I wasn't expecting the road to narrow from 2 lanes down to 1. And so I was side by side with a big truck, and the road suddenly went from 2 to 1 lane. And if the truck hadn't yielded, I would have been in the ditch.
Oh.
And the truck made way for me. So I escaped. Somebody was watching out for me.
I wonder how you felt.
Well, scared and grateful.
Sometimes it takes a bunch of shepherds all together
Hmm.
to take you to a safe place.
Mhm.
Church.
Church. Hmm. I wonder who the Good Shepherd might be.
Jesus.
Hmm.
I was a little lost yesterday, but I was glad I had a map and some signs.
Oh. Uh-huh.
So somebody was thinking ahead.
The sheep.
Every one of them is different.
Yeah. Mhm. The sheepfold. The cool, clear, still water. The dangerous places. The Good Shepherd. Now, normally at this time, I would invite you to go and do work. And I would actually, when I'm doing godly play, invite you individually to say what work you would like to do. But today, I'm going to trust, and I'm going to let you know that there are materials on the table, and we're just going to take a few minutes to explore those. And I'm going to ring a chime to start us, and then I will ring the chime to bring us back together for any questions you might have. I'm going to leave these materials out here so that if anybody would like to just touch, and you could even retell the story, however you would like to use them. They're designed to be touched and to be used. So I will be around if anybody has anything, but if it comes to questions, we'll gather back together to share those together. Okay?
To see where it's empty.
Got some legs here. You can have
Yeah, yellow box.
Oh,
demonstrate
It's the right size.
Okay. You've got black sheep too.
Oh, yeah, yep. You can color them, you can do whatever. And this is if you want to make your own miniature store.
So, I'm trying to figure out what this might be.
Okay, so this is the gold of the box,
Okay,
and then when you put it together,
gotcha, okay.
and that's the shepherd, represented by a shepherd's crook,
Gotcha.
and then the dangerous place of, yeah. So, yeah. So, and I have like very unsophisticated, I literally use double stick tape,
Mm-hmm.
and
These are adorable.
And then, even if you don't make a thing, there's a little 23rd Psalm right here. It's old style, which it's hard to find it new style, and it's kind of poetic in the King James kind of way.
You're the black sheep.
Naturally, you should have naturally drawn to that, yes.
Unfortunately, why do we have to have black named bed?
Build our own pasture.
Yep. What a wonderful book. My granddaughter needs this.
So, my grandson, and I just went through this because he's just enamored with me having all these weird materials. And this is what I just told, only
Okay.
in storybook form. And then that's the like little more fun version. And he said, I think this is the way God or Jesus taught it. I'm pretty sure no. Jesus is probably more like, hey, let's talk about Cecil.
Let's
the
get
sheep."
a bike or join a band.
Yeah, right. In my world, I think of Jesus as being a fun storyteller. I think that the people that wrote it down forgot the humor part sometimes.
I had a professor,
Or we just don't get the humor, right?
I
How
had a
is that?
professor who was always talking about God's sense of humor and pointing it out.
For sure.
Some gets lost in translation, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, even this story, we're not shepherds anymore. I'm sure, and it's done quite a different way.
We don't like it because we know sheep are so dumb.
Well, yeah, it's,
Well, and shepherds or sheep herders are so disreputable.
absolutely, absolutely.
They're disruptive?
Disreputable.
Disruptive, okay.
So I grew up in Wyoming, and so a lot of sheep. There are 10 times as many sheep as there are people.
Kind of like pigs, yeah.
And so when you would go out into the mountains, you'd always run across sheep herders with herds of sheep, you know. And they don't have the best reputation among folks. And
Even
so-
today, huh?
Even today. And so when I was growing up, and I would pick up something off my plate with my hand, my dad would snap at me, "Don't eat like a sheep herder."
Oh, wow, interesting, yeah.
Prejudice.
You know, so I spent a lot of time in Michigan, and
Yeah.
so that would be the miners with eating pasties.
Yeah,
You know, because
yeah.
that was the whole idea, is you could eat it right with your hands. You didn't have to have all those utensils.
And my mom grew up saying to herself she never wanted to marry a farmer. Guess who she married?
A farmer.
A farmer, yep. Because they were crude and they wore blue jeans and dirty and
You guys are
Had no
welcome to
culture.
color in pages if you pull one out, take it home with you. That's another one of my favorite people. Which, this is by Sybil, oh shoot, what's her last name? Sybil Macbeth. She's a wife of an Episcopal priest. And she was antsy, so she figured out how to doodle to pray.
Okay. Lori, when Linda went to college, her mother warned her to stay away from those seminary boys, prison boys. Oh, apparently she did. She didn't have any trouble staying away from the prison boys. Not a problem. Well, look at her now.
You got yours to stand up, Esther.
I did it.
Close.
Oh, is that what the safety pins or closing pins are for?
So is Messy Church the Episcopal denomination or just all of them?
Well, it actually was started by the Anglican Church in England.
Right.
And in the United States, the Methodists have done more with, they started, because of one woman in the United States, because that's all it takes is one person to go, I love this. So it's non-denominational. Really, they just ask that you follow some principles. Intergenerational is number one. Well, maybe spiritual is number one. So, because a lot of times people get really involved in crafts and forget that there's a story that they're trying to tell, and they're trying to pull people into better understanding. Yeah, so those
Godly play, I understand to be Episcopal, but then
well, Jerome Berryman is an
Messed it
Episcopal
up.
priest who, this is me nerding out. Jerome Berryman was fascinated with catechesis of the Good Shepherd, but wanted to make it simpler for people here. So he actually went and met with Sophia Cavalletti, who created Catechesis of the Good Shepherd along with Maria Montessori. It's all a Montessori-based concept. He came back and he connected with another woman, and I'm totally blanking on her name, and from Western Michigan. And they originally started something called Young Children in Worship. And then he wanted to be a little truer to more of the catechesis technique, and he then developed Godly Play. So you'll see stories in Young Children in Worship, Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, and Godly Play that are identical. One particular one is about the mustard seed. They're exactly the same story, because we drew from, but Sophia Cavalletti knew that Jerome Berryman was going to come back and make it his own. The difference, the huge difference to me, is that he wrote it down. In Montessori and Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, it's an oral tradition. And so I am a Catechesis of the Good Shepherd trained person. It took 6 years of training to be able to teach all the levels of Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. That's a long time. And most people are not going to put that kind of time into what they consider the Sunday school class. What I have found is those 6 years were invaluable because I use it in all walks of life, not just. So I'm going to go ahead, and if you want to bring things over here, I'm going to ring the chime just because I know time-wise. But feel free to come on over.
Is it time for questions?
Yes. So this is. Go ahead.
I'm curious. I wonder how this works in a nursing home setting, especially with memory.
So my experience with the nursing home and the memory care unit was there were just a couple of us, and we literally all sat around a table together.
And these were people who were connected to the church, or did you invite other
So we welcomed anybody else, but we only had church people that actually came to the table. And we sat around the table doing exactly what we did. We did not do this portion of it. I'm not sure that I could. And I have thought seriously about this being a ministry that you could do so much more with it in that way, especially when I realized that that's what they were doing with Messy Church. Was, if you guys know anything about nursing home activity people, they're always looking for something new and different. You know, the music comes in, you have the services, but, and having children, and I don't mean bringing in 50 children to a nursing home because that's not a good idea, but having different ages, and children can mean you're 40 and that feels young. And different ages working together to talk about that brings a totally different experience to the table. A lot of times just having people, I know that this in particular woman that it started me going into the nursing home, she struggled with memories of, you know, where I put my comb and where I did that, but she could tell you all her stories. So this story in particular was beautiful for her, just sharing and sharing and sharing and sharing. And so sometimes it's just having a listening ear for people, and that, but I have found that when you do bring in stuff like that, it brings the generations together, because we can all wrap a sheep, and it's meditative in many ways. Talking about why your box looks the way it did compared to what was here or what materials was used, how many sheep you decided needed to be in your sheepfold, those kinds of things. It really helps us to expand that story and share our stories with each other. I don't know if that was helpful or not, but.
So I've got kind of a follow-up question.
Okay.
How do you introduce play to adults without making them feel like they're not being treated like adults? You know,
I do
how you
understand
help
that.
them
Yeah,
enjoy-
yeah. So I've been doing this for a long time, and every time I can tell you, everybody's like, I'm going to just sit here in my seat and I'm not going to. But you guys all took a minute. And what did it feel like? Did it feel you enjoyed it? So this is how I do it. I just do it. And I say, this is really uncomfortable. We've been taught we shouldn't play anymore. And I don't believe that. I was just telling you this morning, I wore an R2-D2 dress to my granddaughter's birthday party yesterday. Because she didn't believe me that I had one, and yesterday was May the 4th, and everybody celebrates, so I got to the door, and seeing a 4-year-old go, what? Was the best thing ever. We love to laugh. We've just forgotten. And I think that's it, having a conversation about the fact that we have been told, put your toys away. It's time to not play anymore. I'm lucky. I've had a job over the last 20 years that I've been expected to play. And I delight in going and doing workshops for adults who ask that question every single time. And I said, what'd you do over there? I laughed and I played. That's how we try and explain to people. God wants us to play. God loves laughter. I truly believe that. And I truly believe if I don't live longer through it, I'll live happier for continuing to play and to consider things from a playful side. That doesn't mean there's not time for scholarship. There is, of course. But we need a balance.
You know, and I recognize the power of play too, the power of, I was thinking, as you were showing the things, and our circle was totally quiet. Nobody was saying anything to anybody else. We were just watching you. And I thought, boy, a teacher would just loves moments like that when we've got everybody.
So the materials are designed to do that. If you notice, I did not like make big gestures up here. You know, when you're doing storytelling in a different way, you do that. Your job is to be the storyteller right here so that everybody has to focus here. So that's what I love about godly play and why I feel like it can be used. My husband loves using godly play for confirmation classes for any ages, because there's another thing in godly play that's called the desert box, where you always have a piece of the desert. And I don't know about, it's so funny because, again, we all love Zen gardens, right? Telling the story in the desert box is like telling our sacred stories in a Zen garden. You're touching the sand, you're moving it. Nobody, like people might not come look at this box. They will touch the desert, no matter what age they are, because there's something about that tactile feel of the sand. And so I think the one thing that's been good is that in the last few years, more people have allowed themselves to meditate and do those kinds of things. And so this is taking those two things and kind of combining them.
So in your experience with Messy Church, what sorts of programs or offerings work particularly well?
I did one, this was one I wrote, so just bear with me. I did one, I'm a labyrinth facilitator, so I did one on labyrinths. One thing that my husband can do, you can tell I'm a team. We're a team. Is he can draw a labyrinth, any scale you ask him to do, he'll just draw it for you. That's just, he's the math guy, the sacred geometry. And so we drew on a piece of drop cloth, a giant labyrinth, and then we did things like draw labyrinths on a paper plate and put glue beans along it so that you could, or you can do it with string so that you then had it. We tried doing it. People have told me this works. Puff paint, it's kind of not a thing anymore, but that was too hard for me to figure out. But beans and string and learning to use that as a prayer tool. That was a really powerful one. You're gonna laugh, but one of the ones that people loved so much was we told stories around my fake campfire. We were in northern Michigan. In March, it's still snowing. I have this ridiculously, I just put wood over a fake fire, and we passed around a stuffed sheep and told stories and told our own sacred stories. That was super powerful. Oh, we had real marshmallows. No. I had a little s'more thing. If you're going to be with me, there's good food involved. So, yeah. So those were, I had a wonderful person that was willing to create things for me. So, but one of the ones, this was really funny. We put a bunch of cardboard and duct tape in the middle of our hall, and all we said to everyone was, we need a ship, a boat. Make it whatever it is. Well, you know, the next thing we know, we had the best pirate ship you've ever possibly imagined. And then on the side, we were making rain sticks. And we had cookie sheets. And then I asked people to volunteer. I said, all you have to do is pantomime, no words. And we told the story of Jesus calming the storm. And we were the noisemakers. Our ship, boat, whatever, was our place. And people that didn't know that they were going to be participating were now Jesus and the people. And I didn't know if it was going to work. And I thought, well, I've not put any money into this, so what the heck, we'll just give it a go. And people were like, it was so fun to create together. And trust that, okay, well, this person wants to have a treasure over here, and well, there's a cannon on there, but that's okay, it's all gonna work out. But the one thing that's really unique about Messy Church versus Godly Play is that Messy Church is designed for you to do all of that stuff first. You don't know what it's for. So I was like, that's not gonna work. But I just said, okay, I'm gonna try it, why not? And I have a friend that reverses it because she's a Godly Play person, so she does it the other way, and that's fine. But that day, in them not knowing why we were making rain sticks and why we were making a boat and all of that, it worked. Because then you come together in what's called a celebration, and you truly got to celebrate all the things that you created and how you all told the story together. And that was truly all ages, just jumping in and doing whatever together.
And what's a rain stick?
A rain stick is something that the fancier versions, well, I'll just tell you the one that we did. We used aluminum foil, and we squished it up and made it in a zigzag and slid it into a mail tube. And then we put beans in it, or some people put rice, and then it makes noise. You decorate it on the outside. They're actually something that you can purchase. They are made out of cactus or something, and you'll see them. They have like little pieces of wood that are going there, and so the beads or whatever is in there, beans, as you turn it over, go, and it makes the sound of rain.
I think I still have mine.
They never grow old.
No, and so, so when you're making one of those, it's a very not sophisticated thing, but you get to decorate it however you want it to be. It's yours, and yeah, why am I doing this? What on earth could this? So the first few times I did things, I stuck very tightly to trusting what the Messy Church people wanted me to do. We did a harvest celebration, told the story of the sower, which was lovely, painted pumpkins, did all of those things. And eventually, people start to really trust that it's all going to come together and it's going to make sense. And the one thing that Messy Church, I was talking about the fact that it has to be intergenerational, it has to be spiritual. It also has to have a meal. Now that meal may mean you're having a dessert table together, but it has to have a time of coming together. Both, I don't know if you noticed, Messy Church and Godly Play follow the structure of church. So the idea being that we're doing each of those things and communion. If you're doing a Godly Play class experience, after you've come together and after you've done your work, you then have a feast together. It's not a fancy feast, but it's a feast. And the idea being, so right now we'd be having a snack. You had your snack downstairs. But the idea being you're following what it's like to be in a worship service in a much more relaxed, camp-like atmosphere.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So much, Missy.
So,
Yeah. We have a nice set of godly play materials.
That's what I hear.
Downstairs. And so, and we've planted some seeds. So, thank you.
they offer training if you want to be trained. You can actually do now, I just noticed they started doing some online godly play trainings because it's hard to bring a trainer in, and so.
That book over there looks like it's helpful.
Yes. So they have, yes. And I have to say that I have learned that, because the books are kind of expensive, I've found a couple different like thrift book companies that I started purchasing things like that through, if you don't already have things like that. Because yeah, that's the thing that it's super, super helpful. So to close, I put a prayer on your sheet, but can I borrow your snuffer thing? I'm sure it has a fancier name than that.
No, this is the official new song snuffer.
Okay, the official new song. Okay, so I am going to, before we say our prayer, I'm going to do something, and this is something that's done in Godly Play classrooms. Instead of putting out this candle, I am going to change the light. So I want you to notice when I do that something happens when you use a snuffer on a candle, and watch the Holy Spirit fill the room. And now I'm going to read a prayer for us to end. As you journey and grow, may God come so close to you, and you come so close to God, that you know all of God is in every place and of all creation. Carry with you the gifts given to you before you were born by the man who said such amazing things and did such wonderful things, that people still know him in every season, in every mystery, in the bread and the wine. Remember that you are always part of a sacred circle where the Spirit moves among us like a dove, bringing comfort and strength. You are storytellers and peacemakers, light bearers and people of God, creating the part that hasn't been written yet.
Reminds me of the Native Americans who,
Oh, yeah. So when I usually do this in a classroom, the kids make sure the first thing they'll say is, we need to turn out the lights. And because you can really see when you turn out the lights. So thank you for having me.